Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Three Bone on YouTube. I'm Tiffany Bryant Jackson, Education Manager, and today we have our Artistic Operations Director, Robin, with us, and the historically wonderful local legend, Sidney Horton, Director of Thoughts of a Colored Man today. How are you both?
I'm historically good.
Listen,
Doing
you're a
great.
legend, a legend in these streets locally. So I'm going to start with Robin just because I love for our audiences to know how we came upon the show and what made us select it in this season.
Yeah, so this show has been on our radar for a while. It was on Broadway in 2021 and really kind of shook up the canon of what plays on Broadway, which we love to see. So we were really excited about it and knew that we had the talent here in the city to do it. So we're always just looking for stories that we feel like are not really being told on other stages in Charlotte or in our community. And so wanting to really highlight those and give opportunity for that space to be created and experienced by our audience members as well. So
Love it. And Sydney, when this came across your computer and you read it, what were your first thoughts on the show?
I'll do it.
You're
I
like,
was like,
check.
it was a no-brainer. It was like, okay, I got to do this. I really want to do this. I love the whole premise of it. I love that it all takes place in one day, in one community in Brooklyn, and how seven different guys have seven different experiences in this neighborhood in Brooklyn. And it kind of shows that us as black men, sometimes we get seen as a certain way. We are
Mhm.
we are tough. We're this, we're that. But this place says, look, we are just like everybody else. We have highs, we have lows, we have histories that have broken our heart. We have
Mhm.
things that have happened to us that shape who we are. And this play does a good job at showing at different ages, black man and what they go through. And one thing that really sticks out to me is the character of Passion. And when he talks about he's waiting on the birth of his son, and he has a scene with Wisdom, who is his father-in-law, and he's talking about um the death, the miscarriage of his first child. And you don't think about man in that content. You think about, oh my
Mhm.
God, lady, the woman, God bless. And I understand that totally makes sense, but you don't think about what the impact that it has on the father, and especially an African American father. Nobody would think about that impact. And Keenan, I'm like, it's like, dude, I'm so glad you did that. And the whole way that he deals with fatherhood in this story, and how some of these other men, wisdom and anger and passion, are all fathers to a whole bunch of kids.
Mhm.
So it's not, we see the traditional father through Passion, but then we see the community father
Mhm.
through these men, and how they are like, I want the best for our youth, and they are willing to do whatever it takes. And they have some pretty harsh conversations, what are kind of comical in the show,
Right.
um, when dealing with our hard-headed youth that they could be sometimes. But the love is so there.
I
I
love
start
that you
rambling. I love this play. I
Yeah.
can't help it. I just start rambling.
No, we want to hear these things from you. You are at the helm of this, and you mentioned something wonderful, which is community fathering, where different people in their communities take on different roles. And I love that because in this show, one of the places that people are getting fathered is in the barber shop, which is a staple in many communities. You go to the barber shop, you know the owner. 9 times out of 10, you know the owner. He knows everybody who's under him. He's been in the neighborhood for a long time. And so I know that was an important piece to your design. So tell us more about why you wanted to make that kind of your central focus as a hub in this show.
The barbershop is our safe place. It's our safe place. It's our go-to place. You go in the barbershop, you hear all sorts of conversations. You hear all sorts of point of view. You have all sorts of people in there, and everybody is safe. It's your refuge. It's your place where you can be. So when I saw that and I read that, In the script, I was like, I want this barbershop to be a focal point
Mhm.
of this show. So our set is basically the barbershop and a bench, a cart, and a desk and chair.
But it's gonna look great. Listen,
Oh, it's
honey.
got to look
That
good. It's got to look good. But
bench
the main
will be
focus
important.
we have is we created that barbershop. And there
Yeah.
is one big scene where all 7 are on stage at one time that takes place in the barbershop. Then there's another smaller scene, a couple of other smaller scenes. But at the very end of the show, when we talk about all we wanted was the right to be, to live. And when he says to live, I bring the barbershop to life. And I'm like, that's us right there. That's us to the core. Laughing, talking, arguing, having the best time. But that is us.
Yeah.
That's how, and I wanted people to go away with that image
With that feeling. I
of
love
us
that.
being us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny. The barbershop is every time we talk about it, every guy got a different story. We have a different thing that happened
Hmm.
at the shop. I mean, I brought steak from the barbershop before some guy came in. I'm like, "Dude, where you get that
Listen,
from?"
there
He's
are
like,
plates.
$10. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You never know what good plate you're gonna catch.
You don't
I've
know,
grown up.
man.
I've
I got
got two
clothes in
boys
my
and we
trunk. I
spent
got some
plenty of
shoes out there.
time.
I'm like, hey, let me go check it out.
Yeah. You might have got a movie or two. You might have got
There's a
something to
food
eat. You
truck
never
outside
know.
sometimes. I love it. It's home.
I love that.
It's
Speaking
home.
of safe spaces and community, Robin, I'm going to bring you in on this one because I know we at Three Bone take such things seriously. So I'd love for you to chime in on some of the things we've done to make this surrounding the play, the production team, the space we're in. Talk about how we make that a safe space as a company.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we're just really trying to focus on as a company is that while it's amazing to have representation on stage with your actors, that it's also really important to have that representation in your creative team in positions of making decisions and positions of power within that, um, so that they can bring this story to life authentically, so that people feel a sense of community. So, I think that's been something we try to do with every show. Around this one, we are, excited, and you can certainly talk some more about this, but excited to sort of feature Black male creatives in our city, which is amazing, and their experience and just the really rich and vibrant culture that we have here in Charlotte. And I know, you know, when we when we read it, we knew we had the talent to cast it. I mean, we did Tony Stone, which was predominantly Black men. It was a
Hmm.
really beautiful piece. Um, but it was interesting to me at the read through, sitting and hearing everybody, really and have a sense of joy about being able to share the stage with this many Black men at the time. And that was pretty powerful to
That
witness,
was
and
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, to be in the room for. There's just such a sense of love and joy among the cast and around telling this story. So yeah, so just intentionality around hiring artists, and also, obviously through our community partnerships as well. And we're partnering with the Gant Center. So yeah,
Yeah.
all of that work.
And I'm going to point out it was beautiful to see in the room so many faces who, if you were in the room for the read through, and dear audience, you were not, we were, you would have thought they all knew each other. And there were some that were new to each other because as small of a world as it is, we got some new faces that are new to Charlotte, new in the building. And that was beautiful to see. It just folded in like a brotherhood from start, with Sidney leading the charge, and it was beautiful. And I know in there, Sidney, you mentioned when you came to Charlotte, it was not like that as a pool of Black men in theater. Was that correct?
There wasn't that many of us, and it wasn't a lot of work. It was not work for us. You know, we came in when I came here in the early 90s, 92, 93, somewhere up in there. I rolled up into this place, 91, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, when I came here, it wasn't a lot, and it wasn't a lot of work for us. This was post two Black theater companies that we had here, and they were no longer around. So it wasn't a lot of work, and the work that I was doing wasn't necessarily work for people of color. It was like doing children's theater or doing, playing certain roles, but it wasn't really a lot for us. And it started changing. I think in the 2000s, things started changing. Things started picking up a little bit. There started being shows for us. But today, the opportunities are great with all the companies that we have in town, and people are being conscious and doing shows. And it's good to do a show for us that is by us.
Mm-hmm.
It's so Black. I just
Yes.
and I
In
just
the best way.
in the best way, and I like it, and it was so good to have these auditions. I have 3 of these cast members that I know extremely well, that I've worked with
Mm-hmm.
time and time again. There was 4 I had
Mhm.
never worked with before. You have no idea how good it felt to hold auditions and have all of these guys come in you've never seen before and be like, wow, they're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
They're like good.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel so good. I'm like, oh, I'm glad we got this nice crop of young brothers here in town who are super talented and doing great work. It just made me
Yeah.
feel, because I was so scared. I'm like, are we gonna find, what we need? We found more than what we need.
Yeah. I
It
think
was
that's
really,
the beautiful part. Robin mentioned our community partnership is with Gant, which is the African American Museum here in town. They had a program recently where they built a collective of Black creatives. It was a Black Carolina residency, and they took in not just Charlotte, but local to North Carolina and South Carolina. And that showed just how many creatives we have in Charlotte making a difference, and how many not all of us have seen. I had the pleasure of being invited to that, and I was on the bus like, I've met some of you, but never met the others. And it was a beautiful experience because we have the talent right here in our backyard, and that's a big part of what we do at Three Bone. We are local talent, and it's so beautiful to see when local talent truly fits the bill, when you want to bring in something that is a full cast of color. So I'm gonna ask one last question because I ask it every video. What is the one thing? Say I'm coming into the audience, I'm seeing this show, I'm walking out. What do you want me to take home with me?
I want you to see us being us. I want you to understand us a little bit better. I want you to go home and be like, I kind of get it now, or I understand now. Not saying that it's going to be a super heavy show. We have a lot of light moments, but I just want you to see us without any prejudice, without anything put up. Just see us. I think that's what I want. When I say us, colored men,
We
African
got you.
American guys.
Listen, I got you. I keep trying to show you on my sign. That's what we want you to see when you walk out of the show. Thank you so much, Sidney and Robin, for taking some time to sit down with me today. This is my reminder. I do it every time we record. If you have not gotten your tickets yet, get your tickets now. We've already sold out a performance. So I
And I didn't
warned
get my
last
ticket.
week's video. Sydney,
I know, you know how
Love
y'all should know me by now.
you gotta get your ticket and tell all your friends to get their tickets now, because we only have so many performances. We open on the 3rd, go through the 18th. The 5th is already sold out. So the rest of the times, book yourselves into the show. This is not a show you want to wait until day of to get your tickets. Trust me. I say it every show, and I've been right. But really, truly, this time, trust me, get your tickets now. We'll be at the Arts Factory starting May 3rd. I look forward to seeing everyone there. No excuses.